What if I told you, in Iran, women are banned from going to soccer games?
Mom, take the ball. I love you.
For 43 years, Iranian women have fought back.
Police pushed us.
Troops.
This is their story.
The joy was forbidden.
What is the meaning of that?
That is how they control you.
I'm Shimol Yai. Listen to the new 30 for 30 podcast, Pink Card. Available now.
This holiday season, give yourself the gift of listening to all 6 episodes of Being Golden. Get caught up in the hilarious, heartwarming, and complex lives of 4 unique seniors as they navigate all of life's triumphs, struggles, and even heartbreaks. From chasing new passions to making new connections, there's a whole lot to love about this audio reality series. Plus, the reunion episode is out now, and there's some drama. Being Golden is available wherever you get your podcasts.
Lemonada.
What was my first ever experience performing? Great question. I would love to tell you. The year is 2000. My elementary school had just announced that the annual talent show is quickly approaching. And that means one thing for me. Girl band. I gather my 2 closest friends, I find somebody's big sister, and I have them choreograph and do the entire dance for us and then teach us that dance, because this was a time before I had access to YouTube. I couldn't just look something up. Other people's big sisters really came in handy in pretty much every way when you're growing up, especially in the 2000s. So I begged my mom to help me iron on some matching patches onto shirts that we already owned. We burned a couple CDs of our song, we put our sick outfits on, and then we showed up to that elementary school talent show like our life depended on it. We got everything to lose, everything to prove. We are the Nitro Girls. Do not ask me how or why we named ourselves this. All I remember is thinking, this is the most badass name, and I think we're going to be famous for it. In a different 8-year-old way. But I think that we're going to go all the way. So we're just patiently waiting our turn, standing in the wings of the stage. And I'm silently running through my choreography in the smallest movements my body will possibly allow me to do, just in the event that someone might be watching us on the side of stage and I wouldn't ruin the magic that was about to happen in our performance. I think I'm also giving my friends a pep talk, even though I am quite literally the most nervous person in that entire gymnasium. But I think to myself, Elyse might be nervous, but a Nitro Girl wouldn't be nervous right now. She would think this is everything. Be the Nitro Girl. I really embodied that spirit, for better or for worse. The curtain drew closed, and the act before us just left the stage. The magic was good. I'll give him that. It was good. It wasn't going to win, but it was good. So we took our rightful places on that stage. I stood in the middle with one friend on either side of me. We tilted our heads down, looked at the floor, popped our right hip, and I ceased to exist. It was only the Nitro Girls on that stage. I waited for our music to play, and then I hear my principal's voice begin to announce us over the loudspeaker, as she had done for every act before us, and then I hear it. Next up, we have the Nitro Girls. The Nitro Girls. Without even skipping a beat, everyone in the audience heard my voice quickly correct her through the closed curtain. Nitro Girls. It's Nitro. Nitro. Not Nitro. Nitro. Does she correct herself? No. She just says into the mic, sounds good, and then presses play on the boombox. Not off to a strong start, but the Nitro Girls do persevere, just as you would expect them to. The dance, it could have been better. The outfits, 11 out of 10. The confidence, off the friggin' charts. We finished our dance, and though it was not physically taxing, I had just watched enough Britney Spears and NSYNC in my life to know that when they finished their performances on stage, they were breathing really heavy. Probably because what they were doing was very hard compared to what we were doing. But somewhere in my subconscious, I had internalized that famous people breathe really hard when they leave everything they've got on that dance floor and finish their performance. So what do? I start breathing really heavy. Almost too heavy. And then both of my friends pull away from the group pose that we nailed, by the way. And they both think I'm having some kind of medical emergency, or maybe they think that finally my nerves caught up to me, but they both looked very concerned. And they're like, are you okay? Are you doing okay? Which caused my principal to then ask me if I'm okay. And then I think a few people on the front row joined in and asked me if I was okay. It's not until as an adult now, I am looking back on this story, realizing that it looked like I was probably hyperventilating, but I would like to forget that I understand that now and just go back to believing that it made me look like an extraordinary dancer and that I belonged in Hollywood for like literally any reason. I just walked around my life believing that like I belonged in Hollywood for no reason. The close of the show finally came, and I was waiting for them to announce the winner. Did you know that in elementary school talent shows, they don't always pick a winner? Like they just like waste your time and they don't pick a winner. So this has all just been for nothing kind of a thing. Like, why did I just spend the last 2 weeks of my life dedicating my heart and soul and all of my free time to learning a dance that wouldn't even have a prize at the end? Did you know that? Or was it just me that didn't know that? My 8-year-old body at that moment was experiencing the highest of highs and also the lowest of lows, being disappointed that I had no chance of winning something that night. And that was the last time the world saw the Nitro Girls. Thank you. Hello, welcome to another episode of my podcast. I'm Elyse Myers. This is Funny 'Cause It's True, a show where we talk about the not so funny moments that become funny over time. Okay, actually, can you just pretend that you're listening to a fully complete theme song here? I got really in my head, and I tried to make it perfect, and I couldn't. So this is going to be the theme song right here. This week I'm chatting with Lance Bass. Lance Bass, have you heard of him? Okay, Same, I have too. Lance is best known for being the bass singer of NSYNC. He is an actor and producer, not to mention he's been trained to go to space, like astronaut status in space. Can you believe that? Also, Lance owns Rocco's, a bar, restaurant, and nightclub in West Hollywood. His new nightclub, called Heart, just opened right across the street. It's now the largest gay club in the U.S. Also, last year, Lance and his husband Michael became parents. They have twins, and guys, they are adorable. Okay, 2 things that are funny because they're true. Number 1, I became friends with Lance after confessing my love for him on the internet. Did I think he was going to see that video? Absolutely not. But here we are. So, number 2, when I was interviewing him, I actively had to try and not think about the fact that when I was a child, I would buy his CDs, take the insert out of them, hang them up on my wall, and kiss them. Do you know how difficult it is to try and interview someone when all you can think about is the fact that you've kissed photos of their face hung up in your bedroom? That's weird. That's really weird. So, here we go. Lance friggin' Bass, how are you?
Good, Elyse. How are you?
I'm good. I'm nervous. I'm still very new to this. And so I'm just like kind of trying to figure it out as I go. And so I'm really glad that you're with me. I feel like I've got my family here.
Yes, we'll get through this together.
We will.
We'll be very gentle, okay?
Okay, great. So for people that are listening to this and are like, how the heck does Elyse know Lance Bass? So I made a TikTok about you. I said you were my celebrity crush. You duetted it. My first celebrity crush. Great question. I would love to tell you. Lance Bass. Second, Clay Aiken. We made it like a whole Audible, like short film together, and now we're here. And by the way, it turned out very well. I'm very excited about it.
It was so fun.
After only 2 short hours of convincing Elyse that the world isn't ending, her pal Lance Bass suggested she relax by the pool and listen to a lighter Audible original.
It was perfectly written. I loved it. And I love that TikTok brought us together.
I know. That's so cool. And are you enjoying getting like started on TikTok? Not started, but like I know that Instagram is more of like a platform that you're used to, and to see you kind of get more involved on it, like TikTok. Is it fun for you to do that?
TikTok is really, it's made me so happy because, I got rid of Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of stuff because it just was so negative.
Yeah.
It wasn't good for my mental health at all. And I find with TikTok, for now, it's just been all positive and fun. And I'm enjoying that. I love comedy. I love music and dancing. So it puts all my favorite things into one thing. Oh, and animals too. So, yeah.
I will say, I feel like we're getting to see a different side of you on TikTok, which is really fun. Your experience in the spotlight has never been like you. It's been a group that now for the first time, we're kind of getting to see you and your personality come out. And like, it's so, so cool.
No, it's true. It's, and I've noticed that, in the group with NSYNC, when you're in a group like that, and especially at the time when like Spice Girls happened, everyone was kind of put into, their own lane.
Yeah.
And the fans do that to you. The record label does that to you. And yeah, as a kid, I was always kind of the very crazy, outgoing, funny guy. Like everyone was like, oh, you're going to be a comedian. But then when I joined NSYNC, I became kind of the quiet, like serious one, the shy guy.
Really?
I was the shy guy.
Yeah.
And I think mainly because, I had such a huge secret to keep. And so I didn't want to show that. And so I just, as the years progressed, I just really became the one that didn't really speak much. And I just didn't want anyone to hear me. So having a platform like TikTok where you actually get to do fun things and actually speak, it shows the real you.
Okay, pause. Just when I thought I couldn't love Lance more, I start seeing him on TikTok just like beatboxing with like a box of Cheez-Its or something. I don't know. I'm like, who is this person? I've never seen this person. This isn't the person like I taped inserts of CDs on my wall and like stared at and like thought I was going to marry. Like, this is even better. Like, it's cool to see him just become this different person in front of our eyes. It's really just who he's been all along. We just haven't really gotten access to that yet. Okay, start. My mind is like genuinely blown right now because I never put two and two together that's like why you weren't so like yourself in front of people was because you were hiding such a huge piece of you.
Mm-hmm. And it was easy because you had such personalities around you. Chris Kirkpatrick was always joking, so you didn't really have time to do that. But pretty much every interview with me back in the day, I look at that, I'm like, that is not me. I'm the most boring person in the world in these interviews. I'm like,
just different.
Yeah, but now I can speak.
Well, it's so cool to just watch you like really celebrate yourself and your personality and your quirkiness. But what were you like pre-NSYNC and your personality? What did that look like for you when you were growing up? I think, was it Mississippi you grew up?
It was in Mississippi, yeah.
Okay, what was that like?
I grew up in a very, very small town where it was great because it felt just very safe. You knew everyone in the town. It was all about your family and your church. And it was great. And, when I was a kid, I was, like I said, very hyper and just funny. And, I was always the short kid. So, you always had to kind of use your humor to, to try to fit in. So always trying to make people laugh. But then I think, when I turned into a teenager and I started, hitting puberty and getting to high school, unfortunately, that's when you start like looking at yourself and saying, oh, wait, I have to hide this part about myself and I can't do this. So I think that's where I started like teaching myself, okay, I got to like step back a little bit because I don't want people, to see my true self.
Wow. See, what's funny is I always felt like I couldn't show who I was, but more because nobody was listening. Okay, pause. Has anybody seen that video of this audio where the guy's like, oh, you like my personality? Thanks. I made it specifically for you.
You think you've met me? No. I have social anxiety. I'm performing.
That basically sums up this entire conversation right here and is exactly how I felt for the majority of my life until I learned that it was okay, that I was the way that I was, and I could show people who I actually was and let them love me for me. I just felt like that really fit here. Okay, go back. Not because like I felt like I didn't want to talk, but because I just was like, it doesn't matter, no one cares. And so it's wild that you had all these people around you that were like, no, we love you, but you're just like, I can't actually, show who I am. And like, what were you afraid of people seeing? Like, why did you get so quiet when you felt like you couldn't be yourself?
It's when you're starting to find out, okay, yes, I know I'm gay. I knew I was gay since I was 5 years old, but growing up in the South, especially, you always just fool yourself into thinking that it's a phase or there's no way that I'll act on it. Right. And then you would, hear all the jokes about, making fun of gay people. And then you would just have to laugh at them too, because there was not one out gay person in my entire town.
You didn't have any examples?
No. I mean, in every school I went to, there was not one person that was out. So you didn't feel safe at all, being, who you were. And then you would hear things like just right now when I'm saying the word so, it always reminds me of, I remember someone saying, oh, you know how you can tell someone's gay is if they use the word so a lot when speaking.
The way that Lance Bass feels, I don't know why I said Lance Bass. I'm like not used to Lance being my friend. So I just am going to, I think, forever say his entire name. Okay, let me go back. The way that Lance feels about the word so, and that he had to remove it from his vocabulary to not be found out as gay in the South, is the way, in a weird way, the way that I felt about adding things into my vocabulary to not be discovered as like a neurodivergent person when I was young. I would just watch everybody around me and speak the way that they spoke. I just learned very early on that when a kid spoke more than they felt like they should have, they said sorry at the end. So I was like, okay, speaking too much is a bad thing. And I should say, does that make sense? Or I'm sorry at the end of anything that I say. And I adopted that as like my entire personality because I just watched what other people were doing around me and thought, that makes sense. They seem normal. They're liked. I'm going to do that too. I just think that having a personality feels so wrong for no reason. Why does that feel so wrong to be different? I don't know. That's something I'll have to work out probably in therapy, but anyways, okay, back to the interview.
And so those kind of things, you're like, wait, do I say so a lot? And then you catch yourself saying so. You're like,
oh my gosh, people are going to know I'm gay because I say so. It's like, wait, you're overthinking so many things.
I know.
We're going to take a really quick break, but stay tuned because we're going to find out how the heck Lance even got started in music, given that he came from such a small town. People like to ask me about my strategies and goals for myself when it comes to my own mental health. Fun fact, I like to actually walk while I work. I've found that when my body is in motion, my brain stays focused. So I built myself a treadmill desk a few years ago, and I've used it every day since. We're used to managing and figuring things out on our own, including our own mental health. But what happens when our tools, whether it's meditation, doing deep dives on TikTok, or your homemade treadmill desk, what if they're not enough? Hers offers access to mental health care that can support you in your day-to-day. At forhers.com, you can get access to healthcare providers who are available for your mental health and can prescribe trusted medications to treat anxiety and depression if they're right for you. And it's all 100% online. If prescribed, you can get your first month of treatment for only $25 and afterwards for $85 a month, or $49 a month with a 3-month subscription. Head to forhers.com/Elyse to start a free assessment today. That's forhers.com/ELYSE. Hers makes it so simple. For example, there is no insurance required. It doesn't really get simpler than that. Get started today with a free assessment at forhers.com/Elyse. That's forhers.com/ELYSE. Offer is only available if prescribed. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Winter is here and the cold air can be brutal on your skin. That's why Sol de Janeiro is excited to tell you about Brazilian Boom Boom Cream, which is their moisturizing MVP. It can help you protect your skin from getting dry even on the coldest of days. Their Brazilian Boom Boom Cream has so many incredible ingredients that are also sustainably sourced, vegan, and cruelty-free. This includes the fast-absorbing cupuaçu butter, which delivers deep hydration and essential fatty acids, leaving your skin feeling silky soft, and antioxidant-packed ingredients like acai oil to help keep skin vibrant. This cream is great for whole-body skincare and can be used as part of your daily routine. Sol de Janeiro is offering our listeners 10% off on their first order on Sol de Janeiro, spelled SOLDEJANEIRO.com, and free shipping with the code Elyse. That's ELYSE to try Brazilian Boom Boom Cream for yourself with 10% off and free shipping. And like, because it was such a small town and you didn't have any examples, like, how did music even happen then? Like, I mean, I'm sure there weren't a lot of famous people that came out of, your small town. Like, how did that even start for you?
Yeah, it just kind of landed in my lap. As a kid, I always loved music. I always sang in the church choir and in school choir, but nothing that I ever had a dream of doing as a profession, because I didn't know that was anything possible for some like small, town kid. And then I remember I moved to a place called Clinton when I was 10 years old. And the people that I met just also loved music and being in the choir. And my best friend, Dale, he's the one who really kind of pushed me into joining my first boy band called 7 Card Stud. That's right. Yeah.
7 Card Stud?
7 Card Stud. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. There was no such word as boy band back then, but it was definitely a boy band. There were 7 of us wearing sequin vests and performing at state fairs. So that's when I learned that I was a bass singer and I loved doing a cappella and, being in a group. And so basically all the music that I was doing was just because my friends were doing it. I was like, I just wanted to hang with my friends. And that led into being in the biggest show choir in the world and me really, loving the choreography and just doing the harmonies. But again, I had no idea that it was possible to do it professionally, especially a bass singer. It's like, I don't know many bass singers. I mean, Randy Travis.
Sure.
But no, I never thought that I would actually do something like this. And
what was the show choir called that you were in?
It was called Attaché. Yes.
Okay.
And it's still the #1 show choir in the world. And I was so lucky that my town was all about two things. You either played football or you were an attaché, and both were equally as cool. For some reason, our town, it was the thing to do. Our star football players were also an attaché. Yeah, so it made it so much easier for me, especially knowing that I was gay, to be able to do that and not worry about people thinking, oh, you must be gay if you're trying to sing and dance.
And it also, I feel like it's cool because it allowed you to have mainstream community as well.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like you were like ostracized for your love for music, which is a really big deal.
Oh, exactly.
Did your family like support you in that? Were they like, go for it, become famous? Like what was they like?
They were very supportive, because when I was asked to join NSYNC, because of 7-Card Stud, our vocal coach at the time, Bob Westbrook, was Justin Timberlake's vocal coach. And that's how I got to know him. And he knew I was a bass singer. So when Justin called him to suggest someone to join the group, he was like, oh, Lance will do it. But his mother will never let him in the group. So, which is, kind of understandable because, I didn't know at the time that my mom was really not for this. But she never let me know that.
Really?
Yeah. When they asked me to come to Orlando and meet the guys and sing with them and just see if I even wanted to do this, my mom was like, there's no way I'm letting him do this. He's not going to quit high school and go to Orlando and join a group that's probably going to go nowhere. This is ridiculous.
Because how old were you when that happened?
I was 16.
Okay, so you were still in school and everything.
Yeah, I was a junior in high school.
Okay, pause really quick. Before I became a parent, I would hear this story and think, oh my gosh, his mom is being so protective in like a negative way, as if parents shouldn't like want to protect their children. But now as a parent, hearing Lance's story feels actually like miraculous. I cannot imagine how like fearful his mom would have felt when, Lance presented this opportunity to her and said, I have to drop out of school. I have to travel. I'm going to go do all of these things and make my dreams come true. At 16, there is like no atom in my brain that would greenlight this situation if I was in her position with my son. Like, there just is not a single cell in my body that would say yes to that or want to say yes to that. I just can't imagine. I cannot imagine the feelings that his mom would feel in this moment. And so shout out to Mama Lance Bass. I don't know her name. Hold on. What is Lance Bass's mom's name? This feels like a weird thing to Google. Diane. Shout out to Miss Diane for allowing her son to follow his dreams, because that was a scary decision and she just did it. And now we have the beautiful Lance.
And the moment that I sang with the guys, I knew to myself, I'm like, holy crap, that was something magical. And I'm like, I'm moving to Orlando. And my parents were just so supportive of it and never let me know that they were so dead set against it.
That's some good parents, though, because they had the fear, like they had the normal human fear of like, even, I don't know, if my son August like had a dream like that in my brain, I'd be like, absolutely not. But but well, if it worked out for them, like you want to give them every opportunity.
Oh yeah, but it was crazy because she didn't tell me that they called twice. The first time it was Justin, Lou Pearlman, and his mom on the phone, introducing themselves, saying what they were trying to do. My mom was like, yeah, no thanks. And like hung up the phone. Yeah. And then they called back and she's like, okay, let's talk about it. And then she finally told me the situation. And once she said 2 of the guys are from the Mickey Mouse Club, I'm like, what? Because I loved the Mickey Mouse Club when I was a kid. And I'm like, well, if they're on the Mickey Mouse Club, then, I mean, this could be huge. They already have a fan base. So then I knew it could be like real.
Okay, pause. I originally wrote like the 10-minute complete history on the Mickey Mouse Club, and it did get cut for time, but I just couldn't leave without you knowing that that happened. Okay, back to the interview.
Yeah, she was like, there's no turning back now. We got to take you to Orlando. But I remember all I cared about at the time was the homecoming dance and the homecoming parade, which I was in charge of. And then, yeah, I got shipped off to Orlando.
How did it feel the moment that you knew that you were going to be shipped out to this like dream of yours? What was that feeling like?
Well, one, I didn't know it was a dream at all.
Okay.
I didn't think that they would really want me in this group. I'm like, well, it's probably like an audition with 500 other guys. And I'm like, sure. Once I got there and I knew that I was the only person that they were looking at, one of the guys, Joey's best friend, was in the group and he was the bass singer. But last minute decided he didn't want to do this because he didn't want the kid market. So he left the group, and so they were desperate to find a bass singer quickly. And that's when I flew down and we sang the national anthem.
What so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming.
And it was just, I mean, everyone had, chill bumps, and it was a magical time.
There's been very few moments in my life where I could feel the feeling of everybody in the room, but like that, I feel like would be one of them where I would just like hold on to that forever. I just feel like that would be such a powerful moment of like, this is right where I'm supposed to be right now, and it's happening, and I'm aware of it. Fun fact, the first time I had this moment was when I was about to quit this podcast. This one. I had just had a panic attack on Zoom with everyone, the whole team. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. Thank you so much. Find somebody else. And I was with my assistant and my manager on my living room floor. And they're like, don't quit. And I'm like, okay. And then I get sent a 5-minute example of what an episode will sound like. And then we play the 5-minute sample. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm not quitting. This is it. And it was like we didn't say anything for like a few minutes of just like listening to this and consuming this final product that we hadn't really heard before. And I was so scared to even listen to it because I didn't want it to even further confirm that I was like, this is not for me. And then I just heard it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is everything I wanted it to be and so much better. And I'm so glad that I feel this way and everybody feels this way. And it was like this like collective sigh of relief. So that was like the first like group understanding that like this is right, like green light from the universe kind of feeling. And here we are. So back to the podcast. Like that doesn't happen. It's like deja vu in the moment.
It's very true. And yeah, I mean, I look at that moment and I love the beginning of our group because it was so innocent, and it was just us five, and it was all about the voices and the harmonies. And I miss those days because, the larger a group gets and it gets very corporate and commercial, and then you get started persuaded to do different types of things that and you kind of get out of that core of what your group really was.
Yeah.
So going back to that moment always just reminds me of what we really were.
Yeah. I feel like whenever something starts like that, it is like the beginning is so sweet, and it's so the rest of your career, you're always chasing why you started what you started. And it always feels like you have to fight for that, because if you don't, it can get away from you so quickly, especially when opportunity comes to you. It's like, you almost feel guilty saying no because you're like, these are things people like would kill for. And it's like getting handed to you and you're like, but is this really going to keep me focused on what I really, really want, Yeah. And like, especially you were young, like what was it like when you left knowing like, okay, I'm trading this childhood basically for this dream? Like what was that process like for you?
Oddly not as scary as it should have been.
Really?
I was just super excited. That's when I first started to dream for the very first time.
Really?
So once I knew that this is what I was going to do and I was in this group, my dream was that I just thought that we would be this a cappella group, that would, be known in Orlando, singing at Disney, maybe get hired by Disney and be like that group that you go to the park and we're like singing around.
Yeah. The striped like outfits.
Yeah, exactly. Like with a hat.
He thought it was going to be like those, like those, what are they called? The singers, the barbershop quartet singers. He thought that they were just going to be barbershop quartets. I just imagined him like in this full suit and like putting his hat out for tips on the side of the street. And he said he would have been happy if that was all he was. I'm like, that's how you know you're doing something you love. because that's the biggest you can dream, and you're like, this is it. This is everything I've ever wanted. And then the universe is just like, joke's on you. You're actually going to be world famous, and you're going to hate it. It's like, I can relate.
I thought that's as big as it, probably would get. But yeah, it got a little bigger than that.
Like, it's very interesting actually hearing you talk about that, because your mom watched you grow up so fast, right? Like, so if you left at 16 and if I remember, she like chaperoned for everything. Like, she came with you when you did all those things.
Yeah, she came on the road the first year. Mm-hmm.
Well, I just need to hear about that, because having your mom with you for those things, like, that is just, okay, wait, hold on. Your mom on the road with you. What was that like?
In one way it was amazing because, you had family with you, and it made you feel more at home. The bad thing was, you wanted to be
your mom.
A 17-year-old with your 4 new best friends, and you're living in Germany where you can get into, some trouble, and, you want to like drink or do that, but you couldn't do that in front of your very conservative mother. Yeah. And, you roomed with her. So at the end of the day, you're going back to the hotel room and staying with your mom. So,
do you have any stories of like when that went wrong?
No, because we were so innocent at that first year, and we were kept so busy. There was no way of getting in trouble.
Yeah.
But I do remember thinking, well, if there was an opportunity to, be that rock star on the road where you like meet a fan, right? And you want to like take them back and like have sex or something like that.
Yeah.
That was never going to happen. And I was glad because, I knew I was gay. So
it kept you safe.
It was a very good excuse to be like, oh, well, there's no way I could do that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I would totally if my mom wasn't there.
Your mom was your cover story.
Yes. Uh-huh. She was my cover.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Coming up after the break, Lance invites me to Disney World, and I almost have a panic attack on air. Stay tuned. I don't really see myself as a lots of hair products kind of person, but I am learning on my own about my natural curly hair, and that means trying a lot of things. So how happy was I when I found a product that would help me actually embrace my hair's natural texture? Very happy. I was introduced to the JVN hair care line by Jonathan Van Ness, and it works for all hair types, including mine. And I just fell in love with the brand immediately, like won't stop talking about it to friends and family, despite their repeated assurances that they get it, level of falling in love. JVN hair care is silicone-free and powered by this unique, sustainable ingredient, hemisqualane. That's what gives your hair that healthier frizz-free shine that we love. And for those of us with curly hair, the air dry cream is a must-have. It smells incredible, and it's made my new hair care routine with my natural curls so simple. Thank you, JVN. We love you. If you want to try JVN's air dry cream for yourself, and trust me, you definitely do, head to jvnhair.com and use code Elyse20 for 20% off air dry cream and the entire JVN hair collection. That's jvnhair.com and code Elyse20.
In 2022, we partnered with Penguin Random House to establish the Lemonada Book Club, uniting lovers of storytelling, from books to podcasts, and we have loved recommending reads that reflect the beauty and challenge of the human experience. And there's nothing more human than emotion. And this past year was full of emotions. Penguin Random House's The Year in Books explores 2022's big moods and offers the perfect books to go with them. Maybe you've been feeling blasé bliss, floating along in a state of numbness, which calls for an imaginative book to snap you out of it. Or perhaps you are channeling defiant joy, where nothing could dull your shine, and want a book filled with inspiration to keep you going and glowing. However you've been feeling, they've got a book for that. Check out The Year in Books at penguinrandomhouse.com/yearinbooks, and stay connected to our growing community of story lovers at www.lemonadabookclub.com.
I know you've talked about Disney a few times. I just want to confirm, have you been to Disney World since?
I have. Yes, I have been to Disney World.
I have never been to Disney World. I've always wanted to go. It was my dream. My 16th
God, you've
birthday.
Never been to Disney World?
No, I live down the street from Disneyland, so I've been to Disneyland, but I've never been to Disney World, and I almost went for my 16th birthday, and it fell through. So I have to find a way to get to Disney World because it would just be so fun.
We're going. I am taking you. If you have not been, I am taking you to Disney World for the first time.
Oh my God. I can't. I cannot. If I wouldn't have already met Lance, I would have thought that he was joking when he said that. But because I have had like a full conversation with him in real life, I knew he was like fully serious. And that was even more to process because my brain couldn't even use like the scapegoat that I usually use with my anxiety. Like, they're not serious. I'm like, no, he's fully serious. And I'm going to have to go to Disney World with Lance Bass. And I get to, but I also have to. And that is a whole month of mental prep that I just like don't have time for right now. So I don't know how I'm going to do that.
Yeah, you'd have to spend a whole week there to see every single thing you want to see. It's magical. I love it. And I am taking you.
I guess we're going to Disney World. The thing that I would want to do at Disney World with Lance Bass is eat a freaking turkey leg. The rides are kind of white noise to my brain. All I am thinking about is the food. And I'm like, if I could just walk down Main Street holding a giant turkey leg next to Lance Bass and everybody's looking at him and I'm looking at my turkey leg, I think that sounds like a successful day. So did you take your babies yet? And by the way, for people that don't know, how old are your kids?
They're 11 months now.
11. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you have a girl and a boy, right?
I do. Violet and Alexander.
Violet and Alexander. And they're twins and they're so sweet.
They're the best things ever.
What was that like? I know that you guys did IVF, I think, right? You and Michael, your husband, and like I know that you were very vocal about that experience. What was that process like for you? I know that it has got a lot of ups and a lot of downs.
Oh yeah. I mean, everyone that we know that has gone through the IVF process and surrogacy kind of went through the same problems we did. You know, it took us about 5 years, and at the time, especially, it was very taboo to even talk about that.
Really?
Yeah, like no one really wanted to talk about their IVF experience because a lot of people were just embarrassed about it. And I don't really know where that stems from, but that's why I wanted to be really open about our process, even from the beginning. I wanted people to kind of like follow that journey, to show the ups and downs and show that it's normal.
It's wild too, because your kids are obviously going to be very special children, right? Like they're coming into this like world with parents that are very famous and they don't know that yet. I'm curious to know, one, like what surprised you most about being a dad, but two, how are you going to approach being a famous family? You know what I mean? Like are you nervous about it? Are you excited about it? What does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not too nervous about it because it is, it's what our life is. And since I was 16 years old, that's all I've really known. So there's no stopping that. I mean, it doesn't matter if I don't do anything in entertainment again.
You're going to be Lance Bass.
People just know me for who I am. And not only for NSYNC, but just coming out so publicly. So it's, I'm basically a reality star in a lot of people's minds.
It's crazy. You're America's Gunkle, right?
I'm America's Gunkle. So, it's something that we're just going to have to be so open and honest about. And it'll be interesting to see if they even care, which, I'm sure they won't because it's just going to be so normal to them. And then everyone's like, well, do you want them to go into entertainment? And honestly, no, I don't. Because
what are your reasons for that?
Well, it's just very stressful. I mean, you know how it is. It's being told no 99% of the time is not good for your mental health at all. And you can be the strongest person in the world. And I think I have a very thick skin, but still things will just get to you, Yeah. And I don't want my kids to have to feel that over and over and over and over and over again. I know whatever field you go into, you're going to feel that way, but this is just, it's a different beast.
It is. And you're open to people's opinions of you, so open to where it's like nobody, like I'll say this time and time again, but like the human heart just like wasn't built for fame. P.S. Shout out to Ben Rector. He told me this once as an encouragement and I never forgot it. And you're not meant to know what people think about you 24/7. It's very bizarre.
And it's different these days because, 20 years ago when, we came out, it was just easier because there was no social media, But
I do want to know, what's one thing that you're so grateful for coming from a small town? Like, what is something that stuck with you where this made me who I am?
Yeah, I think the sense of community. That's something that, I desperately was trying to find after I left that town. And, I had that with NSYNC, and, all the people that was like my best friends.
Okay, pause. I could not agree with Lance more about music and community. I am somebody that really enjoys doing something and like sharing a common goal with people, that is the way that I enjoy like community and friendship most. If I'm just sitting across from someone at a coffee, I'm like, I don't know what to do with you right now. But when I was in choir, or just like music in general, like I was in choir, I was in orchestra, studio singers. I really enjoyed that because I didn't have to kind of come up with things to do with these people. And I just got to have like friends with a common goal of like making music, and also naturally just having these things in common of like everybody in orchestra was great, but then also people that played my instrument, like viola, like it was like community within community within community, and all of us already had our agenda for what to do.
But then when the group, split, I was on my own for the first time, and I didn't know what to do. And I lost that sense of community, especially when I was able to come out, because, when I came out, no church wanted me. My family got kicked out of all their churches. And that's where I learned community, was through my church. So that's something that I desperately was seeking for. And I think that's why I just love the LGBTQ community so much, because, it gives you that sense. And I love it. It's a beautiful thing.
Do you ever wish that you would have been able to come out when you were still in NSYNC, or do you think that it would have not been the right time?
You know what? I have no idea. I don't think it would have been the right time, but I really wish I would have. Really? I was so scared. I mean, I was a teenager and, stupid kid, but the only thing that I had an example of people coming out was Ellen DeGeneres. And, when she came out and she had her sitcom, it was immediately canceled. Everyone hated her. She did not get the support at all. And that scared me, because I'm like, ooh, I was like, well, there's an example of what's going to happen to me. And I didn't want NSYNC's career to be completely over and my 4 best friends be all pissed at me because they're like, why couldn't you just keep that secret? Now our lives are ruined.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about it, how it affected the other guys too.
Oh yeah. And and you're 5,000 employees, and, it's just a huge business. And so I didn't even want to tempt that at all. And that's why, I stayed in the closet so long. But looking back, of course, hindsight, 2020, I would have loved to seen what happened. I think coming out a little earlier, and especially at the height of NSYNC, could have changed a lot of people's minds. And I think could have, helped save a lot of kids too.
I'm sure a lot of people modeled exactly their coming out the way that you were, like, you used Ellen as an example in your mind of someone famous, going through that. Like, I'm sure a lot of people did. And so, but you can't ever look back and like wish you did it differently, because you can't change it, and like you can only kind of move forward. And it's just so cool that as a parent, I know for me, you get to either like recreate the positive things that you experienced from your childhood, or redo the things that weren't so positive. And like, I know that I've been so surprised at what's kind of come up as being a parent. And it's like, there's some things that I'm just like, oh my gosh, like my parents were just doing their best, like things that I was so frustrated at. Like, what are some things that are most surprising to you as being a dad?
I'm actually surprised at how much patience I've learned, because I am not a patient person at all. Like, that's why when we go to Disney World, we're not going to stand in lines. We're not doing that stuff. We're getting a guide, because I just can't do that crap. But with these kids, they're really teaching me patience. I mean, even just, when you're feeding them for the first time and how long that takes, and you're just oh my gosh, I am just like, how long is this going to go? But now I actually enjoy it.
Really? Do you have like one story when you're like, as a parent, where you're just like, this was the epitome of when I realized I am a dad, or like when it set in that like my life has changed forever?
I think that was immediately. Are you kidding me? When I first got home, and sleep deprivation was,
oh my gosh,
real. And I just felt like I was in a dream state.
Oh yeah.
And I remember looking at Alexander, and he was on the couch, and he's just this little blob. And I'm just looking at him, and I'm so like not in my right mind. And I couldn't believe it was real. I'm like, I was poking him like, is this real? Like, I just thought I was dreaming. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm completely mentally gone right now. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm officially a dad. I am a dad now. This is what everyone was talking about. The fog.
It is, for people that like are listening that have never had kids, it genuinely, you don't understand tired until you're in that newborn phase. Like, I remembered we were driving home from the hospital, and August was born with like a snowstorm. It was like negative 14 degrees or something. And we're putting this like tiny little newborn baby in this car seat-ish thing. And I'm sitting in the back, and Jonas is driving like 4 miles an hour because he just realizes like, I have a person back there besides Elyse.
Oh my God. It's so true. That is definitely one of the first times you're like, oh my God, this is different, because, you know, you're so careless with your life when it's just about you and you're selfish, right? But when you have those kids in the car for the first time,
oh my gosh.
I mean, you are a grandma, just like, oh
even
my
bumps.
gosh.
You're like, oh my God, that bump was so big.
Oh my God. And they love a car ride. All you think about is just like, I could have a fender bender. I could do that. Like, it's so easy for a disaster to happen.
Everything.
So I just want to take that out of the equation and be like, I'm bubble wrapping you and you're never leaving the house.
Okay, pause. I genuinely forgot I was talking to like an international superstar at this point. He just seemed so normal talking about parenthood, and he is, but I don't know. I just felt like I could relate to him in a way that I haven't before, and I thought that was really cool. There are so many things to think about. You do just like kind of lose your independence as a human for the first like year. Like you're still in it. You're like 11 months. Like I feel like you're just seeing the light maybe at the end of the tunnel of like, they're going to get older at some point, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think once they start walking, it'll definitely be different, because I'm like, okay, now they're turning into kids now, and they'll be babysitting each other by 2, I think, and that the normal age that they start staying home alone.
Yeah, I think so. You just throw them in a room with a bucket and like they're fine.
Yeah. You have like the hamster water, you know, you just kind of go to the water and sip it when
I
you
always
need
get
it.
people that ask me, so if you're at work, like who takes care of your kids all day? And I'm like, his dad? Like there's 2 people in this partnership here. Like he's good. He's got it.
It's so funny how people think like dads can't. Even my family, you know, Michael is, you know, gone for a while, and so my mom's freaking out. She's like, okay, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna help you. I'm like, Mom, I got this. Like I'm fine. In fact, I actually enjoy the idea of having a little alone time right now.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
But they just think you're still a 13-year-old that just is, you know, you're not going to keep your kids alive. You're like, there's no way.
Well, I'll wrap up with one question. It's just like, from your childhood and your experience, like what is one thing that you want to pass on to your kids and like all the people that come after you? Like what's one thing you want to kind of pass on?
You know what? I think it's so important to be able to spread positivity and be your true authentic self. I mean, whatever that is, don't ever be afraid of what others are thinking about, because they don't matter at all. And it's so easy to say, but so hard to do. Because even today at 43, I still care what people think. I do. Like it's just
you're a human.
The nature
you're not
of
a
the
robot.
beast. Yeah. But if you can, you know, just try to at least knock 50% of that out of your head, because it is going to stifle what you're trying to do. And there's so many things in my life. I'm like, God, I think I could have been really good at that, but I was told, no, you're not good at that.
Yeah.
So don't listen to others, you know, take criticism with a grain of salt, and just do your thing and be open-minded. Like I said with my kids, I want them to be exposed to everything, because you don't know what you're going to like or be good at unless you're exposed to it. So
thank you so much for doing this with me. It's just, this has been an honor to get to see you again, and I can't wait to go to Disney World with you.
All right, we are planning this. I mean, God, I wish I could go. Maybe we'll go this fall, because there's nothing better than Disney at the holidays. I mean, Halloween, Christmas, it is as magical as Disney can get.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Okay,
great. Okay. All right, Lance, thank you so much.
So good to see you, Elyse.
Bye. So I am going to try and not cry because I can't even wrap my mind around the fact that conversation just happened. I cannot believe this is happening. I made a video on TikTok telling the world that I have a crush, or had a crush, on Lance Bass as a child. He saw the video. He duetted and responded to the video. And I'm trying to gather my thoughts. I can't. He responded to the video. I responded to the video back in complete panic, like sheer panic. And then a brand calls both of us and wants us to work on this like whole campaign where we get to meet and then make this beautiful piece of art together. And then I teach him how to take a shot after it's all over at the wrap dinner. We spend all evening talking and eating delicious food. And then now he's a guest on this podcast that I barely made because I'm so nervous. There's no way to wrap this up. I can't. Okay, I need to pull myself together. I'm really glad that you guys got to experience that with me, and the fact that he invited me to go to Disney World, and he really means it, is just a whole other conversation. That's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want, I would love if you could rate and review the podcast. This just helps other people find the show. Okay, see you next week. Bye. Funny 'Cause It's True is a Lemonada Media and Powder Keg production. The show is produced by Claire Jones, Zoe Dennis, and Linnea Tony. Our associate producer is Tiffany Bowie. Rachel Neal is our senior director of new content, and our VP of weekly production is Steve Nelson. Executive producers are Stephanie Whittles-Wax, Jessica Cordova-Kramer, Paul Feig, Laura Fisher, Kesla Childers, and me, Elyse Myers. The show is mixed by Brian Castillo and Johnny Vince Evans. Additional help from Noah Smith and Ivan Karayev. Our theme song music was written by me and scored by Xander Singh.
Hey, Lemonada listeners, we want to hear from you. You know we love our sponsors for a ton of reasons, but one of the main ones is that they help us keep the lights on. And there's a really easy way that you can help us draw new advertisers and hear ads for things you're most interested in. Filling out our quick anonymous survey at lemonadamedia.com/survey. By just answering a few questions, you can help us find new brands to connect with and also share feedback about show content you'd like to see across the network. And to sweeten the deal, once you've completed the survey, you can enter for a chance to win a $100 Visa gift card. I promise the survey is short and sweet and will help us play ads you don't want to skip and also keep bringing you content you love. Just go to lemonadamedia.com/survey. The Webby Award-winning series Untold Story is back for Season 3. With host Trayvon Free, this season explores criminal injustice in places like Rikers Island. How have conditions there created a humanitarian crisis right in plain sight in America? With leadership failing to keep detainees safe, Trayvon speaks with criminal justice reformers, activists, and attorneys on how we can enact change throughout communities. All 3 episodes of The Untold Story Criminal Injustice from Lemonada Media are out now, wherever you get your podcasts. Casts.